Something else very important as far as quality, because Flame is used in high-quality products, is the ability to import, export, and render in 32-bit floating point. OpenEXR and all these workflows with Action that you're going to see later, with Paint 2, is something very cool for you guys. And that was a very long-standing request we got, so that is now part of the product. If you work, and I'm sure you guys work with raw format like Red, Aurora, and Sony, so you need to get on the 2018 Update 1 bandwagon, because there we have all the updated SDKs, and you really need to be there, because as we know, camera vendors are quite good at releasing, every 3 months new technology, especially Red. So I recommend you guys to think about, coming to 18 release. Last fall, Apple did something that nobody expected, is allow vendor to record ProRes in an MXF container. As we heard, QuickTime is kind of moving, out of the post-production, workflows. That's going to take some time, but having the ability to import in our products, ProRes MXF is the starting of, MXF being the format of interchange between applications. And another great workflow we also added to the product is the ability to encode constant bitrate ProRes, meaning that if you have the CineDeck Cine Insert technology in your facility, you are now able to insert on master, on file-based master. So this is a great workflow with CineDeck. So if you have a look on their website, you're going to be able to see that. And produce content in our products. Something big that is something that you might not going to see, very easily in the application, because it's really low level, is we rewrote the AAF import and export technology, meaning that over time we're going to be able to augment the capabilities for Conform and publishing, let's say, to Pro Tools or other applications that do support AAF format. Something also that many people ask us in the past is, well, what about Premiere? What about Premiere? I mean, I want to conform these projects, and now we do support Adobe Premiere XML. Conform. They also are able to create AF file, but I would recommend in your workflows to request XML, just because of the amount of metadata you get inside this composition. So the AF is a bit lossy compared to other products, so I would recommend you, XML Conform, and we also improve many aspects of the Conform workflow that we're going to have a look right now. Yeah. So let's go in Flames. I'm just going to get rid of my sequence, and let's have a look at the various capabilities we've added.
Conform is really something that we've made improvements on at every releases, I think, since 16 extension
and there's
1.
A big reason for that. We strongly believe that Flame should be the place where the sequence, the storytelling, should finish. And we strongly believe by building, bridges with other applications, other systems, that we're going to be able to collaborate with other, systems. So let's have a look at one thing, because I talked about, FCP, XML, Adobe XML, and AF files. Of course, these applications don't run on Linux, while they run on Mac or Windows. And very often what you're going to get in an AF or an XML is the original media path located on the laptop of the producer, or on the Windows workstation. Of course, when you bring this media or these sequences in Flame, well, we won't be able to link to the media because we don't have, access to these paths. So we came up with, as you can see on screen here, in the storage tab of the preferences, a way to create a list of in and out path, meaning that you can define your various paths. Let's say H drive being on your Windows station, being translated into /QA stan, and of course volume being a Mac path, again being converted into a QSN. So you can define that as a system-wide setting, meaning that you don't have to redo them for every project because it's a system thing, and you can also browse to these locations to create them, the relationship between
yes. The feature, the functionality was introduced, I think, in 17 extension 1, but
That's
it
true.
was only in a configuration file.
Exactly.
So now you get a pretty,
Yeah, it's pretty neat, and very often you don't want to search for media, especially if you have in your facility, the file system that was used for the creation of the XML or the AF. So that's part of the product right now. I talk about AF that is now increased capability. So we're going to go to the Conform tab, and we're going to load one. So here I have some bookmarks. So we have my AF composition that I'm going to import. So quickly, something you might see if you work with long form is the Conform and the import of AF is way faster than before. So this is, again, something that make the application, the workflow faster, and because nobody wants to wait after these composition creation. And if you have multiple versions of the sequences, well, that's way better to do that. So here I imported my content. I could have linked the media to import, but I want to show you some technologies we've added. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to search for the media on my file system. I'm not using path translation, by the way. I could have, but just want to show you what happens when there are conflicts. What happens when, on the folder where my media is located, I have duplicated content, right? Just like that. I mean, as you can see on the screen, I have some green check meaning, well, these events can be linked, but I have, these yellow ones that says, well, there are some issues. And of course, if you use Conform, you know the match criteria that is a tool that allows you to define what is the criteria you want to use for finding the media files. And in previous releases, that was, a menu, you had to open it, do your selection, and when you press OK, well, then the list of Conform was updated. We changed that because that should be, we believe, that should be an interactive process. So I'm going to open the match criteria, and that is, in fact, an interactive window. So depending of the criteria, so here I'm looking at the tape name, I can dynamically change. And as you can see, the list updates. I can dynamically change the number of characters for a tape name, and some events, will be catched or not. I can define source time code. I can define other criteria like name. And again, based on the strict of the naming convention, then I can find and links all my events. Let's just remove the strict. So here I have some, again, conflicts. So I'm going to close the dialog. By the way, you can also create presets. And this is very interesting because based on your selection, you can create presets that you can use all along your project if you want to come back to these later. So I'm going to close this thing. And something we've added in the viewing here is the ability to see the content that you work with and your referenced. So I'm going to add a track here. I'm going to add a version track, and I'm going to load my offline reference. So here I have my editorial. Yes, that's here. So if I look at my offline, well, I have my timecode burn-in here. That is the content I created from this AAF file. It's very good. And many things I can do. I can enable a compare mode. So a compare mode, as we know, enables you to look at the offline and the conform.
What you would have in the player on the
Absolutely.
timeline tab, it's the same modes that
here
are available.
I have a vertical split. Nothing prevents me to go in the compare mode, and do the modification of this. Can be vertical, can be different. All the options we have in the big viewer are available here. So I'm going to stick, and of course I can move that thing higher. That's good. So something we've added to help you identify which piece of media is the ability to cycle to the matches. So I am on this top event, and as we can see, well, we have 7 matches. And I can use the navigation tool, in fact, as you can see, to go through my different version of the content. So in this case, they are the same amount of content, except that they have a naming convention for versions. So probably I want to be able to go to the first one, the first match, because I'm using, tape name and timecode. That's why I have multiple matches. And then when I press link, well, my content is linked, and then I can move and navigate to my sequence, and do other shots very easily. So again, it's something that should be in context, interactive, and this is what you get, in Conform 2018. I'm gonna just link my sources. So I'm gonna link these. I'm gonna go back to match criteria, enable the naming, so everything links. I'm quite happy about that. So linking. Everything is there. So I'm going to go back to my primary, and we're going to have a look at some of the AAF effects I was able to conform. So I'm going to disable this. I'm just going to go in the viewing options. Viewing settings, and we're going to go to primary. Very good. So here, what do I have? So I have a transition here. I have a text. So as some of you might remember, if you were to conform text in previous version, well, the titling might have been somewhere else in the screen, off screen, because the data was wrong, the color was wrong too. Something was black over black. That's not great. So that we improve. We have a wipe transition with the orientation, the location. We have a dip to color that was a dip to black. That's great. And we took the opportunity when redoing the AAF conform to really map the effect from the composer to effect related in Flame. So instead of always using action to do effects, well, in some cases, a repo like this one might be very good with the 3D transform. And this is what we have right now with the animation. So if I enter the editor, well, I have my 2D transform, and I get my keyframes. And this is quite good. And if we were to look at the reference, well, I would see that the matching is quite good. So if I have this vertical split, well, this is the animation, and as we can see, it's tracked. That's very cool. Let's go back to single view. So a 3D transform, here I have a flip. Well, the flip now is transformed as a flip. And for more complex effects like this one, well, an action setup has been there. So if you have 3D content, so with position, scaling, rotation, all these will be translated with keyframes in Flame.
But the good thing is that for as you said, for simpler effects, you don't need that like big action setup.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as you can see, we have these colored guy here, and these are markers because in Media Composer and Premiere, in other application, you get markers, and they come in the application on the right track. So here I have some way to communicate or to get notes from editorial that talks to me about. By alt-clicking, I can see the content. But something is better because we've added a marker view, and if you go to the marker view, that is just right here. Well, you can see all the metadata of who is the user on the Media Composer application that creates, so the username on your Mac. Here it's administrator, with the location and time, with the type of and the color, plus the text, and the parent meaning what is the media file that is used for these. So we strongly believe that that is a great tool set to make you, more collaborate with editorial and then get the idea behind their editorial decisions.
The one thing I like about the markers is that you not only can like modify all the different things from within the table, but like double clicking, you can also navigate.
That's very good. That's very neat.
So if you double click on one, the player will
jump.
Jump there, so that's pretty cool.
Very good. So that's my part. So I will let Fred show us some magic we've added to the application. Do you want to take my seat?
Yeah, we're gonna have to
take
switch.
My seat.
I think we're gonna have to switch.
And we're
gonna
switch.
As well.
Yes. That's very good.
Hey guys, I was just going to throw in a comment there that some of the goals behind this Conform part was to sort of respond to requests for ease of use, but at the same time, make it more sophisticated, to really keep our foot on the gas with Conform, and I really think we've done that. I hopefully you agree. I'll let you get going, Fred.
Okay, so on my side, we're gonna have more a look at Paint, a lot of stuff going
Which
around
paint?
Both desktop paint and batch paint, and also some the new scene detect that we've added in the timeline, and we'll finish with some action improvements.
So the scene detect, we'll see that later. So many people were asking, well, you guys in Lustre, you have a scene detect, so that would be neat in Flame. Well, we totally agree with that, and we'll see it later because that's very cool.
Okay, so desktop paint, we're gonna start with this clip here. What's special about it is that it's a 32-bit clip.
Okay, very good.
So just like you mentioned, 32-bit support now. So we're gonna enter in Paint. One of the first thing I want to show you is that by default now you get the same viewing bar underneath the viewport. So in a short term, there might be some disruption with muscle memory, but for the longer term, now all the modules that were not using the multi-view system, so we're talking about the usual suspect, text, warper, spark, stabilizer, desktop paint, now have this more consistent UI that you will find across the software now. It's good. In the long term, it's good for all users, and it's also good for newer users, so they don't have to learn two different paradigms. You will also see that we now have in desktop paint some consistency with the zooming. So your favorite control spacebar zoom will now work in desktop paint as well. The same controls. The same goes for the grid menu, which is the same as you will find everywhere. In the view menu, you will get access to your viewing transform.
That's important.
So that's really important. You have defined color management rules. You want to have access to them in Paint as well. And we've also modified the a small thing, but the full screen mode. So before, only in Paint you would have to swipe on the left or right to enter full screen. But we introduced across the application, including a timeline and batch now, the control swipe at the bottom of the screen. So
Wow.
we changed that for consistency as well.
Good.
So in Paint, the important things is really 32 bits and a much more coherent, consistent environment with
Very good.
the other software. Whereas with the other areas of the software. Sorry. So if I go in batch, where we're gonna have a look at batch paint now. A lot of changes there. We're gonna start by just drawing, let's say, the word Toronto.
Oh yeah.
Okay, like
That's
this.
Toronto. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So now you see in my paint table, I only have my input as before. I also have a second menu now, edit. I could click on the button. I can also just swipe at the bottom of the screen if I want. And you'll see that I have all the strokes that I've painted. Okay? And I can select them directly like this from the viewer. So let's say if I wanted to correct the T, I could just like rotate it, move it back like this.
But why would you want to correct Toronto? It's so perfect.
Yeah. Maybe just correct it like this. So you can do manipulation on the strokes you have painted. What is important to understand here is that it's not the spline that you can modify. So if I go here to my
it's really
end,
the bounding
I
box.
can you can only modify the bounding box of the stroke. So I couldn't just grab a point at the bottom of my end and move it up or down. The other thing that you might have noticed is that I got a stroke for a different stroke for every letters because I left the pen when I was so. If you wanted to make a modification to the entire word, it might be a little bit complicated because you cannot do multiple selection of strokes. So what we're gonna do is we actually gonna delete all the different strokes like this.
That's so
and
nice.
we're gonna go back here and enable the consolidate button before we actually do the drawing, and we're gonna do it once again.
I prefer the
Okay.
one you drew up before. Can you press undo?
I could, but you will have to deal with this one
okay.
for now.
Okay.
Sorry. So if I go to edit, you'll see that I now only have one
bounding box.
stroke. So every strokes that I've made since I was in consolidated without changing any values will be registered. If I was to, let's say, change color in the middle of it, then it would be treated as a separate group. Obviously, I've showed you that I could make modification like this. I can also modify different attributes after the strokes was drawn. So in this case, one very, let's say, a popular thing, a common mistake is you're going to draw it, and then you end up saying, oh, I was on current frame, so it disappears when I scroll. Now I just need to switch it to sequence,
and then
it goes throughout the entire sequence. You even have like more controls than before. You can even select a range. You can change the color if you want to. You can change the blending. So all the different attributes can be modified right after. The other thing that is really interesting is that in the animation channel, if I go to my stroke 0, here I have some channels for position, scaling, and rotation. Obviously, if I modify the bounding box, it will be applied. But you could also go, for example, go in 2D transform, get some through the stabilizer, get some data
some
or
animation
from
data
action,
that you can apply here.
and then you can just link it or copy it here to track your paint strokes. We don't have an access directly from Paint to the tracker, but at least we have those channels that can be repurposed. We also have a start and an end field here, channel here. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the first frame and set this to 0, go to the last frame and send this to 1, and you see that I got some
Oh, okay.
auto paint
That's
just
nice.
like
Oh, neat.
you would get in
Okay.
desktop paint.
Wow.
The good thing is that it's a curve,
So
so
then
you
you
can
can-
just do whatever you want, right? I could just do something like this, and that would actually write it twice because it will write it,
And then come back and then, wow.
come back, and then rewrite it again.
Crazy what you can do with Toronto.
Yeah. And finally, if I go back to Paint here, you have a brush set, just like you have in Desktop Paint as well. So if I say, for example, that while I'm in brush set 1, I say freeform, color white, that's correct. I'm going to switch to 2, and that's going to be one of the new preset I have here. Let's say
presets.
for a line that's going to be blue. So I'm going to do something like this, and this is I'm on matte now, so that's weird. And I painted on matte, so that's unfortunate.
So many buttons.
Yeah, you were right. I should have undo that.
That's fine.
Yeah,
You can. Well, we won't. I'm fine with this. This is great.
And then I move to the third one, and I can select like one of the very popular brushes.
Yes, exactly. Long-standing
drag,
request
shade,
again.
wash. Okay. We even have an eraser now that you don't have to use the top button of the Wacom. And then with the shortcuts 1 through 0, you can quickly toggle between. So
the modes.
I don't know without touching any button, you can see that my brush set here is updated with shortcuts.
Wow.
So that's it for the.
Before we had to choose, if I want to work in 16-bit float, I had to go to batch paint instead of going to. All these and some features were only in one paint, so we kind of
because
synchronize
obviously,
the capabilities.
I went to the top with the 32-bit support in desktop paint, but 16-bit
is there
is,
too, exactly.
Obviously
That's great.
Is supported as well.
So yeah.
So now we're gonna switch here. I will open this, and I'm gonna open the player. You'll see now that I'm gonna add a scene detect on this timeline segment. Obviously, it's just a collection of different shots that I've put together just for the sake of the example. Scene detect, you can select it when the selection on your timeline FX bar is on the clip. There's a button. It's also available directly from the contextual menu here. When you click on it, we run the analysis.
Wow,
which
neat.
is fairly fast.
Yeah.
And then what you get is a resulting cuts, based on the analysis, which is done on pixel movements on the shot. So here you can see that toward the left, I have a big spike, for the different shots. So that works because it goes between this shot and this shot, this shot and this shot. Here, I have a fast camera move. So the scene detect thinks that the pixels have moved quite a lot, but it's only because of the move. So what I can do is just grab the handle here and move my threshold just a little bit toward to the top to eliminate the smaller movements that were detected. I could have also, so let me just put it back toward the bottom. If I had more, like let's say I had 2 different sections like this within my segment, I could go in edit mode, just add some keyframes like this, and again, then just move the curve for that part, so you can do localized modifications. And once you are happy with it, you just hit apply, and the cuts will be created. Obviously, those are match cuts, so one could recommend you to to do a consolidate afterward.
Yeah, because every shot, looks at the media.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you don't need like head and tail. So
No,
you
that's it.
you just would
Yeah,
like to
makes sense.
consolidate to 0, and that's it.
So no more manual splicing of content pre-conform when you go in Flame and you want to finish these shots. Yeah, it's good.
We'll go back to batch. I'm gonna show you in action, and we just will go here. Hey, look, Toronto again.
Wow.
It's everywhere. Uh,
In wood this time.
in wood.
Wow.
We're gonna.
Credit.
So that's a 3D text with a. Let me show you maybe the schematic
Okay.
quickly. So it's just a 3D text with an IBL. One of the 4 IBL that actually are delivered with Flame, so you can use them. And it's a substance PBR wood, as you mentioned. So if we switch back here. You'll see I'm just gonna rotate this using the new. Oh, I'm just gonna select the correcting like this. Okay, and what I want to show you here, it might be a little bit harder to see on the WebEx, but I think that it works fine. We've added some new mapping for the texture that can be quite interesting. So in that case here, I have kind of a default wrap mapping that uses the UVs from the geometry.
Yeah.
And you can see that I can see some like wrapping being done here. So I have this line there, but you can see that I also have this highlight at the top. The new mode that we added is a triplanar. Okay, so what it does is it's actually doing a 3 different mapping on the 3 different axes, and then it's doing a blending between those 3. So this is why you can see here the blending a little bit between the top. The top texture and the one on the side, but inside the O like this, I don't see any differences. You can also see if I scale the texture, how I'll get a better result, more continuous result than what I would get with just a wrapping. A normal wrapping texture like this. This is actually a very good example where you are seeing the problem with the texture not being aligned inside the O here. And then finally, I would say that it's really a little bit more of a bug. It could be considered a little bit more like a bug fix. But I have 2 Gmask there, and I've on purpose changed the color for blue. So one of the biggest issue that was reported by people in the past was the difficulty to actually pick a vertex on a Gmask when they were overlapping. So we actually fixed that. So the priority will always
on
be
the shape
done
selected,
to the selected shape
good.
by default. So you don't get a problem selecting your Gmask anymore. And you also have the possibility to display, of course, all the different shapes, but also the vertices. So you don't have to select the shape
And
first
then
modify. So you can just like quickly do your modification between two different shapes. And if you do not like this, you can always go to the null pref, disable the Gmask vertices. They will just
and
go
only deactive,
away,
yes.
and you will only see the vertices of the selected shape.
Okay. Wow.
That's it.
That's good. 2018 and 2018 update 1.
Obviously, there's much more.
Of course.
You can always refer to the What's New, to Grant's videos on the Fingering channel.
And there's logic. If you guys have questions, you can find us, Fred and myself, live on Facebook.
The area as well.
Yeah, but that's a good 30 minutes overview of all the nice toys that you are getting on 18 and update 1.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. So, Brian, can you please check with the crowd if there are any questions we can answer, or if there are any question for Will, let's say.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a microphone, I'll pass it to anyone if they have a question. I have a question. Can you set it in main mode? Can you set in the main mode to defensive mode instead of non?
So
The sound is.
yeah, the sound is pretty bad, Brian. So maybe you'll have to repeat the question just to be sure that we understand.
What was your question again? So in main mode, instead of always being the current phrase, we have it for the default. Oh, you can change that. Yeah, you can change that. Yeah. No. I just wanted to default into the preferences. I never have to switch it. Yeah, 99% of the time. In paint mode, can you set the preference to always default to sequences instead of current frame?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't. There's no default value for it, and the only thing that could probably be a possibility, and I'm not even sure if it does it, if the setting is persistent. But there's no default value for it in the preferences for sure. I would have to check if it's persistent or not.
But certainly the nice thing about it is that you can change it anytime.
That's good. That's good.
That was the biggest bugbear.
Yeah.
The whole philosophy behind the improvements to paint were really, the focus groups that we had over the last year, and the biggest requests coming, from people were to just improve parity between the different paint tools and add some extra functionality for manipulating those vectors. So that's what we did.
Yep.
So it'd be nice to have a preference that kind of preference. I have a question.
Okay.
Can they hear me okay? Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes.
We got.
So our shop,
Understood.
we've embraced the new color management really well. We use the linear workflow. But we're noticing that when we have an alpha channel or a mat, same thing, coming out of Gmask, and we pipe it into action, of course, that action wants to convert that black and white information to linear. Are we not setting up our color management properly, maybe? Is that what
we have redone. There was some issues with that. You are right. I'm not sure on which version you are running at the moment, but we have reworked a little bit the rules around around the math output.
I think it was update 1.
Yeah. From what I recall, it was update 1.
Update 1,
Yeah.
yes.
So please have a look at the most recent version, but I'm pretty sure that I think we have fixed
Yes.
that
We did.
issue.
Yeah.
That is the one that we're running, actually. It is extension 1. So we're finding that it's happening in extension 1.
No, well, it's some update 1, in fact, 2018.
2018
Yes,
update 1.
yes, not 17.
Not 17.
Yeah.
17 was the
Correct.
introduction, yeah.
That's what they're. Yeah, that's what they're on.
Okay, so maybe we can just follow up with
Okay,
you
yeah,
offline on
yeah,
this,
yeah.
just to be sure that we have a good understanding of the
Absolutely.
problem. And just talk to Brian, and we'll I'll just sync up with him after the meeting.
Cool, thank you very much.
Yeah, the question is, I'm working in key section 1, and I saw when I was in 4K, there's a limitation to the size of the brush. Does that change at all?
So Brian will probably need your help
Yeah,
to
we need-
understand
yeah.
this one.
The sound cut.
2017 extension 1 in paint is having a limitation on 4K for the size of the brush.
Oh, I don't know this is something that
Well, we're going to have to
Probably
capture the
yeah.
information, the issue,
Yeah.
to be able to replicate it, but I'm not aware
Yeah.
of the...
And we'll have to know the hardware as well, because it
Yes.
might be related to an hardware limitation. So again, please just... I think that Brian is going to record
Yeah.
that one, so we'll follow up with Brian and you most likely tomorrow.
Perfect. Anyone else?
Maybe one quick thing that I can add. It won't it won't help for the question itself, but we've also added here the possibility to actually load custom brushes. So, but the let's say the special secret sauce is that you have to still need to go in
Paint.
desktop paint to
Yes.
create the brushes. We don't have the editor on batch paint, but if you go in desktop paint, create your new brushes, save them, you will be able to reload them
That's true.
in batch paint. And now the brushes are also saved with the setup.
Okay.
So before you could have a modification made to the brush,
And then you
and
don't
then
have the
you would
brush.
save the setup, reload it,
Somewhere
and the
else.
brush would
Yes.
be gone. So now
Okay.
they are saved with the setup.
Very good.
Is there
Is there
Yeah.
any folks there want to make some comments about what they think of the 2018 and the update one? What they were expecting, or any surprises, and indeed anything they think is missing, they'd like to see in the future?
Can Will give any hint as to what's coming in the next version?
Will, can you give any hints as to what's coming up in the next version?
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to say that I hope that you guys there in Toronto are seeing the progress that we're making with Conform, with Paint, with the refinements there on the action side. But really, there's more to do. We do want to do more in Conform. I think you should expect more in the area of kind of pipelining your flame. But that's what we're working on. I wanted to verify that what you're seeing so far is resonating with the tools that you use and the workflows that think need improvement. What you just seen in the last few minutes. Is that a thumbs up or a maybe, or how are you folks feeling?
Good. Yeah. Thumbs up.
We see some thumbs up.
All right. Yeah, and then I guess, are there hot areas of concern going forward that you'd like to make sure was on our radar? That'll be my next question.
We would love to see baseline DLG integration, where we could load baseline. I know you're
Baseline,
weird things.
baseline BLG integration.
Load our DLG to put our there would be great. I love what you're doing with the new little shell thing where you can load new stuff into it. That's great. We really love the back-end stuff, the operating stuff that allows us to put individual users and tag that stuff is great for the facility.
The users and security stuff.
That's definitely my way to go. Yeah, it's going in the right direction.
Good.
I can say that compass and the elbow stuff is amazing. Amazing. Can't do that.
Yeah, compass and elbows.
Can't do it. I'd rather be on the
Yeah, and over there, the guy in the orange shirt was referring to some of the stuff that we will be showing in more detail later this week. We started sort of to debut as an idea at NAB, and we'll be giving a kind of an update on that.
Mhm.
Won't be only a
Is there
list,
any-
right? Maybe it's worth mentioning that won't be only talks. It's going to be some demos showing
Prototypes,
the
yes.
prototypes. Yeah.
And then, any other questions that anyone wanted to ask? Please don't be shy.
Yeah, I think we're good here. We're going to need to switch off and to do the live demos here. So
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
So
thanks, guys. It worked well.
Have a
Thank you, folks.